Together we'll see who dies and survives, circled around a sacred fire, strumming along with our favorite lyre. Adventure called the quest awaits, your destiny's in the hands of the fates. But never fear, we're all friends here, we'll have your back when danger's near. Come with us through the pages as we unravel a tale for the ages into the Percy-Verse. Before today's episode, we are excited to share that we have our first merch available for the Percy-Verse podcast. You can get the shirts that you see Alisa and myself wearing on the episodes, an orange with black print or a black with gold print, and in sizes from 5 extra large to extra small.
Order yours today at Percy-Verse.com. That's PercyVerse.com.
Thanks for listening. Enjoy the episode.
Hello, and welcome to Season 3 of the Percy-Verse podcast. I'm Alisa.
And I'm Anna. Get ready for flashbacks to middle school dances because today we're reading Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Titan's Curse, Chapter 1, My Rescue Operation Goes Very Wrong. In this chapter, Sally Jackson mildly embarrasses Percy in front of his friends. Percy finally goes to military school, and we get introduced to 2 new powerful and mysterious demigods.
That's right. Was it last book? When we were like, or which book was it when we were talking about what Percy would be like in military school?
It might have been the first one. I was like, he's there.
He finally made it. Yep, to Westover
ever so briefly.
Hall.
Obviously, he goes immediately wrong.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Not a good fit.
Yes. No.
Yeah.
And I felt like because we had talked about For the Sea of Monsters, the theme being and the lesson being there's no I in team. Chapter 1 of this book being my rescue operation. I was like, Percy, you forgot that there's no I in team.
Yep. He immediately unlearns the lesson of book 2 right away because he feels a little competitive with Talia, and then it's just back to I'm gonna do this all by myself. I am powerful demigod. Hear me roar, you know?
Yep.
But right off the top here, we actually need to talk about the pre-chapter, pre-table of contents dedication page.
Yes, we do.
It's very exciting. We, for those of you who don't know, originally from Austin, Texas, the original home of Camp Half-Blood when it became a real-world phenomenon. And the person who made that happen was Topher Bradfield, who is dedicated that's who the book is dedicated to, and who was I don't know the official title, but like children's book, YA book lead at Book People. Our local bookstore would get advanced copies of the book, and we would get to hear them before the books came out.
Yes, I have such a vivid memory of the reading that we went to for this book, for the Titan's Curse, because it was dedicated to him, gathering on, if you've ever been to Book People, it's the second floor landing. We were like, I can't remember how many, it wasn't that big, it was maybe like 12 of us or something.
Yeah, max. It was
a small group. And he read out loud like the beginning, I think maybe first chapter, maybe 2, I can't remember. But yeah, I remember just sitting there, and it was so fun because I don't know how Topher and Rick Riordan first became connected. But they very much were. That's how Topher was able to get approved to start Camp Half-Blood, which still exists today in Austin.
They're advertising still right now. You can still go this summer. Yes. If you hear when this episode comes out, there's still dates probably.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, it's always, this book is so fun, and it always is very special every time I come back to it and just be reminded of that really, really fun, unique connection that we have to these books and to tangentially record it himself.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just one person removed.
Yeah.
We're ready to interview you anytime. Um, but yeah, one thing that tells our age difference, we're 4.5 years apart, is that I remember, but I don't think you remember, that there was also a lot of Greek food that we had out at that reading.
Oh,
We had
no, I
like
don't remember that.
olives and like all these different kinds of finger foods that were all Greek foods that Topher had brought for us to eat like while we did the reading. It
Oh,
was just like a full
fun.
sensory experience. It was very
Yeah.
cool. Topher doing
Oh,
all the
that's so
voices.
fun.
Yeah.
I wish I remembered that. But yes,
Yeah.
I I was in second grade when the first book came out, so this would have put me in, I guess, like fourth
Yeah.
grade,
Yeah.
depending on the year, third or fourth grade by the time, because I was
Something
like
like
first or
that, which would have
second.
put me in 8th grade. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
yeah, but
yes,
good memories, good times. I've been excited
yeah.
to get to this book, to tell that story, and
Mm-hmm.
just feel like we're back sitting on the little curved steps of
Yeah.
the children's section that had like big windows you could look out,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
over Austin
Yes.
at Book People. So,
Yeah,
also shout
yeah.
out to Book People, shout out to local
Yes.
bookstores. Go to
Yes.
local bookstores to buy your books.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that was like a second home for us, was like
Oh my
the
gosh,
YA
yes.
section of Book People. We practically lived there.
Yes.
So, like,
Oh yeah.
shout out to local bookstores and the people who
Mm-hmm.
work there and just like get kids excited about reading. Because I remember
Yes.
I remember actually when Topher first told us about The Lightning Thief. Like, I
Mm.
remember him recommending it to us.
Yeah.
And I'm just
Yeah.
like, that was such a pivotal moment.
Yes.
So, shout out to local bookstores.
Our lives were forever changed.
Forever changed.
But yeah, so diving straight into this book, we have a lot of like new things straight out the gate. It's the
Yes.
Friday before winter break, so first book that does not take place at some point during the summer time.
This
So,
always confused me. Like, like I have to say, later when I look back on it, I would always forget.
oh
Like
really?
yeah, like, because it's always summer, and there's other books
Yeah,
like you think of Harry Potter, it's like he's always home for the summer and then he goes to school. And
sure,
Percy
right.
Jackson was the opposite. He's always
Yes.
home for school and then he goes for the summer. And so there was this thing about this book where I was like, oh man, this is winter break. Like, it just totally threw me.
That's so funny. That's so funny. But yes, and we pick up a few months post Sea of Monsters.
Yeah.
It's not been like a full year. So it's also our shortest time jump between books so
Yes.
far. And we are in the car with Sally driving Annabeth, Talia, and Percy from New York to Bar Harbor, Maine.
Yeah.
Um,
Kind of
and
adorable.
yes, I do want to say though, because Percy's going to be very classic, like preteen, in terms of not fully appreciating his mom and being embarrassed by her
Yes.
stories and whatnot. That I do want to
Yes.
say, it's an 8-hour drive, the whole
Yep.
drive. Sally drops them off and then leaves. So she then makes an 8-hour drive
Yeah.
back solo, and
I
they
like
get
to
dropped off.
think that she like stops at like a cute little inn,
Yeah.
maybe like a cute little place where she just like hangs out and has some me time and
Yeah.
maybe like gets ideas for writing and things like
Okay,
that,
I'd love that. Yeah,
I love that
because
for her.
when Percy is just so like, oh, leave mom. I think it's like the adult in me now is like, that's
Yeah.
an 8-hour drive
Right,
back
right, right.
solo. Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
that's
Appreciate
she's
your mother.
she's crossing state lines. Like, she's going to be
Yeah,
doing that whole thing again, but by herself. Like, you could say
right,
thanks.
right.
It's not like it's
Just
an
like
hour
once.
or
Yeah.
two.
Well, and I
Like,
feel like it's one of those things too, because Talia is gonna end up being like, "Your mom's so cool," and I feel
yeah,
like it's
yeah.
also a thing where like you are necessarily going to be most embarrassed by your own parent and
Yes.
perceive like you're trying to see them through your friend's eyes, but like your friends are
Hmm.
actually gonna see them totally differently. Like that's
Yes.
such a normal dynamic. So it's kind of
Yeah.
funny because
Yeah.
Percy's like, "Go, go, just leave, just leave,"
Right.
and then Talia's
Right.
like, "Actually, wait, like your mom's really
Yeah.
cool."
Can she
And the
stay?
thing
Can she
is, like,
hang?
demigod parent bars are really low. They're like on the
Oh,
floor.
they're
So like,
abysmal.
I mean, Sally Jackson like clears with flying colors, obviously, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
from the perspective of everyone else, like the bar is on the floor for how a
Yeah.
demigod parent, like mortal parent
Yes.
or godly parent, honestly,
Yeah. Yeah.
is going to be. But I like to think that in my headcanon, she planned to stop at like a cutie little inn.
Okay,
She
great.
had like a nice little dinner, a nice little breakfast. She got some
Yeah.
book ideas, and then she like has a nice little drive back home.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I love that because I think this was the first time my brain as an adult really processed that Sally driving
Yeah.
them there meant that she was doing that 8 hour trek
Right.
solo on the way
Right.
back.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
like audiobooks the whole time, like, you
Yes,
know.
right,
And
right.
that's a lot of love to be like, yes,
It
son of
is
mine, I will drive you 8 hours into
eight
danger and then I will
hours.
leave you there
Yep,
and I will spend the whole drive back worrying about you.
absolutely. And this is why we love Sally Jackson.
It is. But yes, it is very clearly winter because there's snow pounding the highway. And the three of them, Annabeth, Talia, and Percy, they hadn't seen each other in months. So, we it's safe to assume that like once the summer at Camp Half Blood ended and everyone
Right.
left, like they haven't seen each other in person since then. Um, and they're all very nervous, and it makes like Percy, Annabeth, and Talia kind of quiet, but it makes Sally very talkative. So she's just telling like every embarrassing baby story ever. Percy is,
Which is
like,
rough, I have to
yeah,
say. Especially because he gives an example of like what he was like as a 3-year-old in a bathtub.
right,
Like
yeah,
there is a. This doesn't sound like fun. Like I think
no,
Percy
no,
has some legitimacy in his embarrassment. It's not just like
yes,
it's my mom. It's like, okay, this is too many. This is too many
yes,
childhood stories.
right,
One of these girls I have a crush on. The other
right,
one I'm super intimidated by. Just met
yes,
her recently. We're
yeah,
just kind of friends. Like,
uh-huh,
I don't need this right
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah. He's like, yeah, he's severely intimidated and feels like inferior to Talia, and so doesn't need all these stories, and then
Yeah.
wants to like impress Annabeth, not
Yep.
have her have the like knowledge of
That
all of
image
these.
in her head. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
So I get that. I get it.
absolutely,
I get it.
yes. But they arrive at the school, Westover Hall, which is described as looking like this evil knight's castle. It's all black stone, towers, slit windows, these like huge wooden double doors.
Feels
And
like we're in
it's,
like Europe or something.
I know,
Yeah.
especially because it stands on this snowy cliff overlooking a big
Mm-hmm.
frosty forest. It feels like, I don't know, to me it feels very like German or Austrian, like when I
Well, I
imagine it.
specifically think it feels very Beauty and the Beast, and we're gonna get to
Oh,
another moment where
totally.
it reminds me of Beast Castle, but even this
Yeah.
description kind of does. It to
Yes.
me feels very, very like Beast's Castle and Beauty and the Beast.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And there is a beast inside. Um and Sally like double checks that, they don't want her to wait, and
Yeah.
Percy's like tells her no, he doesn't know how long it'll take, and that they'll be fine. And she asks how they'll get back, which I was like, how does your mom not know
Right.
what
Right.
your return plan is? But Annabeth like soothes her and is basically like, we'll keep him out of trouble, like don't worry. And Sally is very like relieved by this. She like basically trusts Annabeth a lot.
Yes. Yes.
And
She's thinks Annabeth's the most level-headed demigod ever to hit 8th grade, and I'm just
yeah,
like, I mean, yeah, like we've talked about this before.
yeah,
Annabeth is quite level-headed, but one thing I have to note was a little detail I really
oh
like here,
yes,
because I feel like starting last book we've been kind of like tracking the Annabeth Percy dynamic relationship bubbling, and there's some stuff for sure in this chapter. But the
yes,
first thing is that when Percy is describing her blonde hair being tucked into a ski cap, he also says that her gray eyes were the same color as the ocean. And
yeah,
because Percy's like ocean boy, I was like, that's cute. That like
yeah,
that's a positive association for
yes,
him. So it just
totally,
stood out to me.
yep, yep, yeah. Um, and Sally, she's a mom in mom mode. She's like double checking, do you have everything you need? Like, she's asking all the questions. And is even like extra spreaders. Do you have the phone numbers? Do you have ambrosia and nectar and drachma? Like she's
Yeah, the
going through
whole
like
list.
her whole mental checklist, and that's when Percy reaches his point of being like, we will be fine. Stop.
Let's go. We're leaving.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
And she looks a little hurt by that, and Percy, feels sorry about it, but he's at his wit's end with a number of
Yep.
stories and just wants to like get on with this mission. And so they all leave, and that's when Talia tells Percy, "Your mom is so cool." And we don't know yet everything with her mom, but I was just
No.
thinking about like not only is Sally such a stable mom, but the reality of like her being able to drive them successfully 8 hours, commit to
Yep.
that, follow through, do that safely, have this whole mental checklist, double checking that they have everything they need, that they'll be safe, that they don't need her to wait, that she would
Yep.
wait for them. Like everything that we know about Talia's mom, Sally is just like the literal opposite in terms
Yes.
of like safe, reliable adult that can be.
Caring. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Focus on the
Um
kids, because Talia's
mhm.
story in particular has a mom whose issue is being self-centered.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking too about some of the like mental health pieces and how we might have
Hmm.
talked about this before, but like how much Talia and Luke would have bonded over their moms.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they have some parallels. But even like
Hmm.
Annabeth's dad, I think, is more guilty of neglect than anything else.
Yes.
And just like for both of them, having this mom be so present, like you're saying, and so
Hmm.
dedicated and thoughtful, like that would just be night and day. And
Yes.
Percy's just so used to it that he doesn't see it from that perspective. Like he doesn't appreciate it, which is kind of a good thing, right? Like
Yeah.
it's almost like a parent should be so good that you don't even realize how good they are until you're
Yes.
older.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
ideal.
Hmm.
But yeah, I do like that we get a moment where Talia is
Yeah.
like bringing this to his awareness.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because we do know that Percy loves his mom and like does appreciate her, but he
Absolutely.
is, like he doesn't have the reference point fully. Like, yes, there's all the stuff with Gabe, but he doesn't have the same reference point as the other kids do in terms of like their own, like
Yeah.
biological parent harming them quite intensely. And so yeah, he can forget, and he does forget that not all kids have parents like his own, because then
Yep.
he just says that she's pretty okay, but then asks Talia, "You ever get in touch with your mom?" And
Yeah.
steps in it real big, real
Yep.
fast.
Right in the pile of, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and Talia gives him a perfect evil 10 glare, making Percy immediately wish he hadn't. And Talia is about to, I think, kind of go off on Percy a little bit because she starts to get out if that was any of your business. But Annabeth saves him and is
Yep.
just like, "We better get inside. Grover is waiting."
Yep. Yep.
um,
Yep. Which is
because
our
Annabeth,
first. Um. That's the first time we get the information that Grover's the one who's called them here too.
yes, yep, yep. And then we find out from Talia that Grover sent a distress call.
Yep.
So we know, hence the nerves in the car on the way there, like something big is about to happen, and they all kind of look up and then enter the giant towers of Westover Hall.
Yeah. One thing that I was thinking as we start this book is like I'm sort of bummed that we don't get to experience those first interactions between Percy
I
and Talia.
know.
Like they're already sort of established as like a little more than acquaintances even. Like they're
Yes.
almost kind of friends.
Well, and he's like in the car with my friends,
Yeah,
Annabeth and
totally,
Talia.
totally. Yes. I mean, they're not comfortable friends yet, but
Hmm.
like they're like in a friend group. I don't know.
Yes.
I want to be a fly on the wall to like
I
experience
know.
when they first are interacting when she comes back,
Yes.
you know?
No, I
That's just my
completely
little note.
agree. Yeah, I think I found myself wanting to know what the that last period of time at camp was like post her immediately having come back. Like, yeah, just how they got to know each other. Like, also,
Yes.
what was it like for Annabeth after the shock, wore off, and for everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, I wish we could
They
get
had to tell
more.
her about Luke. Like there's just things
Yeah.
that I wish we
Oh
knew. So we
man,
have to
yeah.
sort of interpret or extrapolate what we think based on
Mhm.
this, but it's just a desire I have to like
Yes.
fill in this gap of
I
time.
know. I know. Well, maybe one day Rick Riordan will. He just announced like the new series,
Yes.
Camp Half Blood. um, featuring, new characters who we have not met and also some old ones. So who knows?
Yes, we can still hold out hope. The man will
Yes,
never stop
yes.
writing.
No, he won't.
So we can still hold out hope. But at this point, we are through the doors into the dark towers of Westover Hall. And we have, this is the other, like, Beast Castle moment. I just literally could picture the movie, like the animated movie, because the doors open, they step in, and there's, like, a swirl of snow around them. And I was like, this is so Beauty and the Beast. He's just a misunderstood guy. Like, if someone was just shared a meal with him and hung out with him in a library, then he'd be fine, right?
Right.
Anyway, not what's gonna happen. Spoiler alert. But then we find out that, this is a military school, and so the walls are lined with weapons, kind of like more old-fashioned ones, like axes and antique rifles and things like that. And then Percy, it's kind of fun because we're in book 3 now. So we're assuming the reader knows things about the world.
Yes.
So the description is just that he puts his hand in his pocket where he keeps his lethal ballpoint pen riptide, which I think is funny because it's like, before it's like, it could turn into a sword and you get all the description. Right. And this time it's like, I know you know. Let's make this funny.
Yeah. We're shortening those reminders down into, like, from paragraphs to sentences. Yeah.
Exactly. But Percy's intuition is on point. He can sense that there's something dangerous, and I don't think it's just the military dark vibes. No. He gets a sense of it. Talia also has some intuition, gets a sense of it. She's rubbing her silver bracelet, which all we know right now is that it's her favorite magic item, and that they're both getting ready for a fight.
Yes, I do love that they both have, like, something that they wear on their wrist that turns into a shield.
I was like thinking that.
In the way that they share a lot of similarities, but also they're, like, very different. I think it's fun that they have that in common.
Do you want to know what my first thought was? How big is Talia's shield? What will the ratio be on her?
Well, and we have even more.
Oh, we're going to get to Annabeth.
I underlined it because I knew we would.
We're going to get to Annabeth. Okay. But for now, we're just, like, hanging out in an ominous situation.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, I think we're getting ready for a fight. The doors slam behind them, which is also, again, it just all feels like that scene in Beauty and the Beast when, like, I don't know if it's Belle or her dad, like, first goes into the castle. It really reminds me of it. Very ominous. And they can hear music echoing that sounds like dance music. So it's a very, like, juxtaposition of, like, dark and ominous and then, like, dance music happening in the background. And you're like, what is happening and where am I? So they put their overnight bags behind a pillar and they go down the hall and they run into 2 adults. As far as we can tell, adult humans. They both have short gray hair and black military style uniforms with red trim. So we're just sort of, like, continuing to flesh out this intense military school world and setting. And we have this weird moment where, like, the woman has a wispy mustache and the guy is clean shaven and Percy thinks it should be reversed. And I'm just like, can we not hair shame people? Like, no. Like, hair should not be gendered. So just a little note there. But they're both walking stiffly, like they have broomsticks taped to their spines as a description. It's like we haven't gotten a good Percy description yet in this book, and we need one to start out with. And it just feels like that's probably a good way to describe, like, how someone, has, like, military posture. Like, if you think about that, you kind of sit up a little higher, which I will not be doing today, but I can feel the difference. And then the woman is like, what are you doing here? And Percy, okay, so this is where I'm like, come on, guys, because we've had this issue before, particularly in The Lightning Thief. This is a very book 1 issue of, like, we need to have our story straight, and we can't rely on Percy to come up with the story.
No.
Like,
also,
this is clear. We know this.
We had an 8-hour drive.
We had an 8-hour drive.
We had an 8-hour drive to circle up, to lock in, to prep.
If you want your mom to stop telling weird stories, change the conversation by saying, what's our plan? What's our strategy? We're going to a school. It's a military school. They knew that. If someone comes up to us, what are we going to say we're doing there?
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to work on our cover stories as a group, as a team. We didn't. But what it does give us the opportunity is for Talia to basically show up Percy and make him feel subconscious. So we end up having the man be like, visitors are not allowed. And we learn that he has kind of a French accent. You shall be ejected, he says. And he is tall with a hawkish face. His nostrils flared when he spoke. And his eyes, which we're tracking eyes, are two different colors, one brown and one blue. Percy says like an alley cat, which I think is kind of funny.
I did want to say, I looked up because I wasn't sure if this should have been like assigned to Percy or not, that this was the monster.
Like
I was like,
can humans? Two different colors? Oh, good.
And I looked it up. Humans can. It's just quite rare. It's like no more than like 1% of like the population.
Wow.
And it's a genetic thing. So it's like exceptionally rare, but can happen in humans in addition to like in the way that you can see like dogs and cats.
I think about it as well. Dogs, like I've seen
like huskies.
More huskies.
I feel like I've seen
for sure.
Most commonly
kind of
with two different color eyes.
Yeah.
But yes, it can happen in humans too. So not necessarily, a warning,
a monster sign.
Percy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good to know. But he's definitely feeling large and in charge and intimidating because Percy's thinking that they're about to get just tossed into the snow when Talia pulls an Obi-Wan Kenobi on them, snaps her fingers in a sharp and loud sound. Percy thinks he feels a gust of wind from her hand across the room, and it makes the banners rustle on the wall. And Talia says, "Oh, but we're not visitors, sir. We go to school here. You remember, I'm Talia. This is Annabeth and Percy. We're in the 8th grade." So, yes.
Real quick, should have given fake names.
Absolutely.
After all the wanted posters, after all the we're looking for this kid, we gotta be giving out fake names.
Yep.
We simply must have a couple of fake names in our back pocket. That, for instances like this.
I'm thinking a new class we need to have at Camp Half-Blood is espionage.
Yes.
I think we need a new... Like, we, as demigods, are not very good spies.
No.
But we do, like, spy-like missions. So I'm thinking we need to work on our spy skills as demigods.
Yes.
That's what I'm feeling. We need plans for infiltration. We need plans for diversion. And we need plans for anonymity.
Literally.
Because then later he's going to be like, Percy-Verse Jackson, I know you. And I'm like, but like, did you know him from his face or from the fact that Talia told you who he was?
Right.
You know?
Yes.
Yes. 100,000% agree. Yeah. But no, we're just saying our names is what we're doing. And so the male teacher narrows his two colored eyes, and we kind of figure out later that he probably was not fooled by this.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, the woman, whose name is Miss Gottschalk, which Percy's like, Gottschalk as a teacher?
Right. Which I do think...
I wouldn't know to pronounce it that way because there is an S in there, and I'd probably say Gottschalk. Personally.
Yeah. It might be Gottschalk, but Percy's thinking like Gottschalk, like he's
maybe
the joke out of
it.
Yeah. I do think I had a moment of meta-ness at it being really funny as an author to like imagine a name that then your main character would find funny to make a joke about, you know, like
totally.
It just
in last book we had like Mr. Bonsai, and I feel like there's teachers always have like funny names in some way in these books.
Yes.
That like go with the school.
The idea of like, you know, writing all of that out to then be like, and this is a name that Percy will find funny and Percy can make a joke about.
Yeah. He's just like, yes, here, this will make Percy chuckle.
Yeah.
So So she actually looks like she's been awoken from a trance. So something
Mm-hmm.
that Talia did seems to have affected her.
Yep.
Because the man asks, "Do you know these students?" And she says, "Yes, I believe I do, sir. Annabeth, Talia, Percy, what are you doing away from the gymnasium?" So then she goes into like, if you are students here, you should be in the gym with the other
Right.
students kind of mode. And before they can try to come up with another really bad excuse, because they haven't planned anything,
Yep.
Grover runs in to save them and is like, "You made it." But that kind of runs into some issues because the man is like, "What do you mean they made it? These students live here." So he's kind of going
Uh-huh.
along with the idea. But then it's like, they just convinced us that they're actually students here. What are you talking about?
Right.
And Grover's like, "Oh yeah, they made the punch for the dance. The punch is great." And I'm just like, y'all, work on this. Work on
Yeah.
this. I'm
Yeah.
giving you homework, which you don't like as demigods, but work on this.
Like, do an iris message to just be like, let's get
Do a
on the
little
same
plan.
page. This is
Yep.
our cover story. If anyone asks, and just, yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. We need more planning. But,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that's supposed to be like the ADHD of it all, is that
Yeah.
the 8 hour just went really fast and
And they're like preteens,
yeah,
so they're not
exactly.
necessarily.
And I don't think have espionage class, but I think we should have
No.
espionage class. So
Yes.
that's my recommendation for Chiron. And so, yeah, the man is not, it seems very clearly not to be.
Yeah.
Not to be believing any of this, but Miss Gottschalk is like, "Yes, the punch is excellent, run along. You can't leave the gymnasium again," or whatever. And so there's just like, go. There's like,
Yeah.
okay, we're just going to leave and take what we can get. They have a couple of salutes they throw in there, which I think is really funny.
I know.
They just like don't know what to do at a military
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
And so then they go toward the direction of the music, and Percy is like, "Talia, how did you do that? What was that?" And it was interesting because we were just talking about
I know.
how, in the end of Sea of Monsters, Karen is like, "I can teach you how to do stuff with the mist,"
Yes.
but he hasn't done it yet. And so Talia is basically like, "You mean the mist? Karen hasn't showed you how to do that yet," which I feel like is a little bit of like fighting words. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
she is poking at him a little bit, right?
There are ways to phrase that. She could have just said, "Oh, that's the mist," like Chiron,
Showed
taught
me.
me how to do that.
Not like he
Or
didn't
whatever.
tell you yet.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I couldn't help but wonder if
Yeah.
these lessons happened for like during the remainder of the summer, or because we find out that Talia's been going to school in New York City, like to be close to Camp
Right.
Half-Blood. Like, is she going back to Camp Half-Blood to like get extra training from Chiron and like learned this in the fall?
Yeah, because I think it has to be one or the other of those options because like it's easy to forget that unlike Annabeth and Luke, Talia spent 0 time at Camp Half-Blood.
Right.
Like she literally was turned to a pine tree when she got there, so Chiron hasn't actually trained her. It's really
Right.
weird. Like she doesn't even have a relationship with Chiron until this book, which is weird to
Yeah.
think about.
I know. It is because it feels like she should have already had some relationship. I think
Right.
because like her legacy looms so large at camp, even though she never actually got to live there or train there at all.
Exactly.
So yeah, it feels kind of incongruous, like
Agreed.
mentally.
What's weird is Percy's also in New York, so there's no reason
Yeah.
that if Talia was doing lessons, whether it was at camp or after, that they couldn't have done them together.
Yeah. I do think it's probably because, we'll find out in this book that like Talia's 16th birthday is like what is,
Right around the corner.
right around the corner. And
Yep, good
so,
point. Could be
I
that.
do think it makes sense that Chiron was like, we're going to all hands on deck with,
Yeah,
the child
accelerate
of the
the
big
training.
three who's about to turn 16, because Percy's
Right.
got a couple of years. But I do also think at the same time, it's like a touch of a misstep on Chiron's part to then kind of neglect Percy's training in that
Yep.
sense, to not be training the both of them, especially when Percy has been so intensely targeted.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think the realization that Kronos did everything he did in the Sea of Monsters to bring Talia back probably just made Chiron so worried that he was like, I have to focus like all my energy on
Right,
her.
right.
But
And
yeah,
Percy's at least been trained for a couple summers. Like
yeah, yeah,
he he has an advantage in that sense over Talia where, she probably needs that kind of not remedial, but like she needs to catch
yeah.
up on her
Right,
training.
right.
Also like she's been a tree. Like I don't know what that does
I
to
know.
your reflexes and
Yes, yeah,
brain and
yeah.
to like come back from whatever state that she was in the
Mm-hmm,
tree, but it like
mm-hmm.
probably does something,
Yeah, yeah,
to your mind and body. So I can understand, like you're saying, both how close she is to 16 and that she's been a tree for a long time.
Hey,
Extenuating
if you've ever been a
circumstances.
tree, you might be entitled to compensation.
Absolutely. I, she really is. She
Yeah.
really is. Are the gods going to do anything about it? They're
Nope.
really not. Of course not. But yeah, I'm imagining, yeah. For some reason I was seeing like a satyr attorney kind of like saying that on a billboard. I don't know why. Yes, there's some litigation we could file for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But regardless, Chiron has shown Talia something he hasn't shown Percy.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes Percy have an uncomfortable lump in his throat.
Yeah.
And I think he's understandably feeling left out, feeling a sense of, he's going to have this like baseline competitiveness with Talia, and this is a way in which she's ahead of him, and that doesn't feel great. She's also older than him in multiple ways, like in her age of existing and in her age, year age that she is right now. So
Yeah.
it's a big challenge for sure. And they go into the gym without talking about it more. And they're like, hey Grover, like they're excited to see Grover, which is cute. And it's cute because like all of them have this relationship with Grover, so he is a good like uniting force for everybody. And he has gotten a little taller. He's sprouted a few more whiskers, but he's got his red cap and baggy jeans and fake shoes, so he's blending in with all the kids.
Yep.
And he is wearing a black t-shirt that says Westover Hall Grunt, which is interesting.
I know.
Yeah, Percy's like, is that his rank or a school motto?
Yeah.
So I don't remember if we find out, but not in this chapter at least. And so all they know is that Grover had an emergency, but not what it was.
Yeah.
And Grover explains that he's found 2 demigods, which is like a huge deal. Like finding 1 demigod is a huge deal. Finding 2 demigods in the same school is wild.
Yeah.
And so one thing that we learn here, which I think is interesting, is that Chiron has satyrs going to look even more intensely for demigods, partly because of Kronos.
Yeah.
Kronos is both taking demigods away from them, like turning them to his side, and also putting everybody else in danger. Yeah. And so they need as many recruits as they can possibly get.
Yeah. I do think the one like little bit of a hot take that I had about this was it made me sad because Percy says we're losing campers, which I think is an important little like note to make about the fact that like what was occurring in the Sea of Monsters is still happening. Like campers are switching sides, but it made me sad that like that was the instigation for finding like demigods out in the world, because I was like, okay, so if this didn't happen, would all these demigods just have like continued living not knowing who they were and like not getting connected to Camp Half-Blood and maybe never finding out their godly parent or any information or anything at all? Like I was like, man, they just would have left a lot of kids. Like,
no, that was my thought too. Like it feels a little problematic that we're doing overtime looking for demigods because we need to protect the camp. Like for this reason of like, we need more demigods to put their lives in danger. Yes. So let's go find more demigods. No, I totally agree. It left a bad taste in my mouth for sure when I read that. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, because it's not like the impetus is like, oh my gosh, we have to like protect these kids, or we need to make sure, or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
Kronos might be searching for them, so let's try to get to them first so we can protect them. It was like, oh no, we're losing campers. We need
Yep.
more recruits. Like,
So
it's
that we can
very
fight. Yeah.
for taking place in a military school, like in this opening chapter, it's very, the mindset is incredibly militaristic in terms of the priority being like
Absolutely.
bodies to defend this camp.
Absolutely. No, I agree, because then it's not about protecting them, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's about them protecting camp, and they
Yeah.
haven't even met yet. So, yeah,
Right.
I agree.
Yeah.
Super
Yeah.
problematic. Super problematic. I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, Chiron has some certain issues that we've like pointed out,
Yeah.
and as do most teachers, most leaders. Like, I think it's important to be able to like see the flaws and name them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's part of being a leader. Is like nobody's perfect, and this is a
Yeah.
way in which, yeah, he's being a bit problematic. But then we learn that the two demigods are brother and sister, and they are
Mm-hmm.
10 and 12. And did I not fully remember that Nico was 10? That is so little.
Yeah.
That is so young.
Yeah, I know. He's a little baby.
So young. That's like what?
Fifth grade?
Fifth grade, I mean, sorry. Not third. Fifth grade? Fourth
Maybe
grade?
fourth or fifth, depending on when he turns 10
Either
in the
fourth
school
or
year
fifth
cycle.
grade. It's just, he's so baby.
I know.
So, like, when you think about how he's going to experience this book, it kind of
Yeah.
makes total sense.
Oh, yes.
You
Of
know?
course. Yes,
But
yes.
I'm just like, dang, he was 10. So
Yeah.
we've got 10 and 12, and Grover doesn't know their parentage, but he knows they're strong. And the last time that he said this, it was about Percy. So I think
Yeah.
that's a good hint that
Yes.
we've got big three material
Yes.
on board. And then Percy's asking him, like, where the monsters are. And Grover says there is one and that he suspects, but he's not positive. And of course, this is the last day of the term before winter break.
But
And
of
so
course.
it's the last chance, but he's always there blocking him, which seems to be why he's called in reinforcements. Like, he needs strength in numbers to
Yeah.
be able to get around the monster to get to Bianca and Nico. And Grover looks to, so here's another little moment. There's all these little like
Yeah.
Talia Percy moments. Grover
Yes.
looks to Talia for what to do next. And Percy's like, oh, he used to look to
Yeah.
me for what to do next.
Well, I also think it's this really interesting, like, there's obviously, like, the power dynamic between Percy and Talia, but it's also this interesting thing where, like, Talia, Grover, and Annabeth are, like, their own trio dynamic friend group.
Yes.
And then Percy, Annabeth, and Grover are their own. And so it's not actually two separate friend groups merging, but it's, like,
Right.
two distinct friendship dynamics trying
It's like
to,
a
like,
Venn
merge into
diagram.
one.
Yeah.
Yes. That is, like, I have never experienced that, but like feels like its own very
Yeah.
complicated, because you're not trying to like make people who've never met get along. It's like you're trying to make three different like ways of being around each other like
Yeah.
work together in
together.
this like brand new way.
It is very complex. No, I totally agree. And it, there's so many interesting dynamics that we've been talking about between Percy and Talia. Like, Talia was there first, but Percy was
Yeah.
there more recently, but Talia's
Right.
older, but, you know, like, you kind of go back and forth, and it's like,
Yeah.
they each have different ways in which they've been on quests or been in adventures with the other two.
Yeah.
And Percy sort of interprets this as like Zeus has seniority, so Talia
Right.
has seniority, which I think it's really interesting that he's sort of taking on this like Zeus Poseidon
Yeah.
rivalry that like he doesn't necessarily need to be
Yeah.
taking on, but it's so instinctual to do that for him.
And he'll do it with Jason.
And he'll do it with Jason. Yeah, it's like it does seem like Zeus and Poseidon are have such a strong tension as brothers
Yes.
that it just can't help but ripple.
Well, they, generationally pass that down, and like that happens with mortal parents
Yep.
and their children in our real world. Like
Absolutely.
that beef between two adults, like those children oftentimes will beef with each other
Oftentimes.
for no good reason apart from the fact that their parents are beefing.
Until you fall in love, like Romeo and Juliet.
Right, but then you die.
Of course, because you were supposed to be beefing.
right,
That's
right.
just the only way it can happen. That would be funny, like a love story between children of Zeus and Poseidon that's like all complicated and
Oh,
angsty.
that would be fascinating.
That would be a fun one.
Rick
Yeah.
Riordan, write that book.
Write that one. Add it to the list. And so Percy's now had a couple moments where he's feeling overlooked or
Yes.
what have you compared to Talia, and he's acknowledging that Talia has had more real experiences with than any of them, fending off monsters in the real world, and she's just like focused, like, okay, the half-bloods at the dance, are at the dance, and Grover nods, and Talia's like, then let's dance. And you get the sense that Talia is good at being in charge.
Yeah.
Like, she's confident, she makes a decision, she's not, like, worried about being embarrassed that she's dancing, like, she's just like, let's go. And then she asks, who's the monster? And Grover looks nervously and says, you just met him, the vice principal, Dr. Thorne.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
So we enter the dance and we get this like fun description about all of these military school kids who basically, like, because they're at a military school, they go like feral whenever there's a dance, because it's like, we don't have to wear our uniform. We can be free for like one night. And so a brief description to kind of lay the land of the dance. Black and red balloons all over the gym, must be like the school colors, which is like very,
it's on the uniform.
It's like an intense, like for like an intense military school, black
like,
and red.
honestly, you just can't help it. It feels Nazi.
Yes.
Like, that's just what it makes you think of.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's maybe why I was like, it feels like German,
Right,
like Austrian,
right.
like
Yeah.
the intensity of all of it. And some of the kids are like kicking the balloons in each other's faces. Others are trying to strangle each other with the crepe paper streamers. There's like a funny description of girls moving around in football huddles. Yeah. Which like just that felt funny to me.
Yes.
And then
they're attacking guys and putting like makeup and ribbons on them, basically.
Yes. Yeah. And then there's some like older, kids at school who are hanging out uncomfortably at the edges. And Percy relates most to them in terms of like
he's like, I'm usually playing basketball at a dance, actually.
Which I was like, there were never like basketballs or like any of those things available at school dances. At least not for me. Like, we'd be in the gym, but we didn't have access to that. Feels like a touch, I don't know, irresponsible.
Yeah, to just have like, because basketballs can hurt.
Yeah,
honestly.
You could really hurt someone with that.
Yeah, for sure. But it is middle school, so
Yeah. So Grover points out Bianca and Nico D'Angelo, and so we get our first little description of them. Bianca's wearing a floppy green cap, and kind of like she's trying to hide her face. And they both have dark silky hair and olive skin, and they use their hands a lot to talk. So I was like, they're Italian. They're
Italian. That's how you know. I know. It's so silly.
And Nico is shuffling some kind of trading cards.
The magic
cards. And Bianca seems to be scolding him about something, and she's looking around like she can sense that there's something wrong. And Annabeth asks Grover if she's told them, and Grover's like, no, you know how it is. Like, once you're aware, you're put in more danger. Their scent, a half-blood's scent becomes stronger once they are aware that they're a demigod. And Percy has a moment. I know. Percy has a moment where he's like, I wonder what we smell like.
Right.
I've never understood that.
Right.
And Percy's immediately wanting to be like, let's grab him and go. But then, like Grover is saying, Dr. Thorne always being there, they like look and see that he is standing near the D'Angelo siblings and like looking kind of coldly in their direction. So he's on to the D'Angelos and on to them. And that's when Percy is like, okay, he was not tricked by the mist. And Percy is thinking that Dr. Thorne is just waiting to see like who they are there for.
Yep.
And so Talia, I think picking up on that as well, is like, don't pay attention to them. We need to just pretend that we don't care about them and throw him off their scent. And she explains like all of them are powerful half-bloods, so like hopefully that will kind of confuse him. So let's just mingle, do some dancing. It's like a really great strategy. Talia is like, she is on it. She is leading this incredibly well. She's got a great plan, you know.
Well, and one thing I appreciate about how she words that, like a lot of the time there's this big focus on that, like children of the big three are extra powerful and like draw the monsters extra more. And I really, really like that she doesn't say like, two of us are kids of the big three. She says we are three powerful demigods, and she's like including Annabeth, who absolutely is a powerful demigod. Yeah. I just think it's a good moment of friendship and respect that Talia like says it that way, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree. And then Talia makes like a face at the music. It's Jesse McCartney. She's like, who chose this? And Grover, looking hurt, is like, I did. And I'm like, man, both
Grover
Chiron and Grover cannot win with their music taste.
They cannot.
They cannot win ever.
Nobody likes it. No one likes it.
And Talia wants him to play Green Day, and he's like, Green who? And she gives up, and she takes Grover to dance, saying that if she leads, then he can dance. And she calls him, she says, come on, goat boy. And like she grabs him fully and like drags him onto the dance floor. And Annabeth is smiling, like feeling it's just really cool to have Talia back. And let's take a moment, because it then says Annabeth had grown taller than me since last summer, which I found kind of disturbing.
Yes.
So
yes, we need to discuss. We must discuss.
So if Annabeth was 5'9" in The Lightning Thief, and this establishes that Percy has always been taller than her, he had to have been rocking at least like a 5'10".
Yeah.
You know?
Had to have been.
So
also, that's assuming they didn't grow at all last year.
Right.
So if they grew it all last year,
Percy could be like 6'1".
They're in the 5. Yeah, like he'd be getting toes cut off at Krusty's. Like they're at the 5'10", 5'11", and now Annabeth has to be 6 feet tall at this point. Like she just has to be. Canonically, in the text.
She is Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones, and you won't get that reference, but she's a really tall woman.
But sure. So you could say Percy finds it disturbing, maybe it's just sexist or something, but I'm thinking it's because she's a 6 foot tall 8th grader. They're just so tall. I mean, that means Percy's also way too tall. Yeah. So now we need to know how tall Talia is. That's the next question.
Because if we're not pointing out that Talia is exceptionally shorter, then Talia's gotta be at like 5'11". You know?
You would think, yeah. But we don't know yet. Like, maybe she is. Maybe she's just normal height. She is older than them.
She is.
She is older. She's in high school. So maybe she could have hit her 5'10", 5'11" before
but
she even...
That's still... She, you know, they should all watch Tall Girl on Netflix.
I'm just saying, yeah. They are collectively Tall Girl. They just are. Like, I want to say, that Percy's not even being sexist here. He's just saying, we should all not be this tall. Like, maybe the explanation here is that the gods are really, really tall.
Right. Even
in their, like, regular passing as mortal height, they're really, really tall. And so maybe when you put a god DNA and a human DNA together, the demigods inherit the tall... Right. The tallness.
Well, and Chiron as a centaur would be really tall. Yes. And so... maybe there's a little bit more, it normals out a little bit for his experience of the demigods that he trains for them to be like on average taller than
than a
like
mortal
most.
kid.
Yeah.
That's the best thing I can think of to explain all of this.
And they should all become professional basketball players.
Well,
Or
Percy's
volleyball.
playing basketball in the corner,
Yeah,
so
he is.
I
Yeah.
guess as he should, because he's so tall.
Yeah.
Like this whole time, we've been like, maybe Annabeth's just taller than Percy. But
Right.
this book confirms that no,
No.
Percy
was
has
tall.
been taller than tall Annabeth this whole time.
Maybe the NBA and the WNBA are all just
demigods.
demigods
I love that.
who, like, you know, have been
Yep.
able to get by. Like,
Yep, I
you
love
know,
that.
yeah.
Like Michael Jordan, demigod.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So.
I feel like for him, I want it to be Hermes because of like the winged shoes.
Oh, totally.
You know, the Air Jordans.
Yeah. That's fun. That's fun. I like that.
Okay, well, yeah, so we had to address this because, wow.
We did. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The tall elephant in the room. That will never leave us.
Never.
Yes, but in addition to Annabeth's incredible height, she also has another kind of like new year, new Annabeth.
Yes.
Because she used to just wear her Camp Half-Blood necklace, but now she's rocking some little silver earrings shaped like owls, the symbol of her mother Athena.
She went to the mall. She got her ears pierced. She found little owl earrings. Yeah, at Claire's.
The woman said, "Are you 18 years old?" My mom does have to sign for me, or rather my dad. I am a minor.
They didn't even ask her. They're just like, here.
No, yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my goodness.
And as she pulls off her ski cap and her long blonde hair tumbles
like
down her shoulders.
Moment. Yeah.
Yes. Percy thinks that it makes her look older for some reason.
The tallness is probably helping with that, I have to say.
And Percy is like a little awkward at the beginning. I think they haven't spoken in a few months, and Talia is like, everything is new and different and changed. And
yeah, Talia's like, this is a very relatable thing where Talia's like, act natural, and Percy's like, how do I act? What is acting?
What is
I
natural?
don't know.
Yeah. But he asked her design any good buildings lately, and
It's perfect.
She lights up. She like goes on about this 3D design class that she can take, that she loves, her new school. Cute. There's all these things that she wants to do, but Percy isn't really like taking in what she's saying because he's actually disappointed to hear that she likes her new school so much.
Yeah.
Because it's the first time they both were going to school in New York, and he was hoping to see her more often. Because she was in Brooklyn, close enough. Like, in her and Talia, they're together, close enough to go to camp.
Yeah, they're both going to school at an all-girls school, and Percy's feeling like the odd one out.
Yes, he is at MS-54 in Manhattan, so he hardly ever sees them.
Sounds like a spy school.
Yeah. But I
Clearly
think that's
is
just
not.
the, like, New York City, like, public school naming
probably
system, I
is.
think, or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. I'm assuming that's middle school 54.
Well, we know it's not because he's not better at espionage, is all I'm saying.
No. Yeah. He is not Alex Rider.
I was just thinking Alex Rider. It's like we read the same books growing up or like something. At Book People.
It's like, you know, somehow you read the books and then, you know, you would tell me to read the books.
Right. That is probably normally how it went, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so Percy asks if she's going to stay there the rest of the year, and this is where we get our first hints at things happening. Her face goes dark. And before she fully answers, Talia comes back and is like, you gotta get dancing. Like, you're just standing there, like, come on.
Yes.
And Percy gets nervous all over again, and he's looking around and he's like, who should I ask? And Annabeth is like, literally me. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, dude?
It's so awkward funny.
I know.
She's like, me, seaweed brain. She punches him.
Yeah. So they go to the dance floor, and Percy looks over to see, like, the hand placement of Talia and Grover to, like, mimic it, because he's got no clue what he's doing. Again, he's normally playing basketball in the corner. And she has to be like, I'm not gonna bite. Like, you know, like, let's do this. So they kind of shuffle around, and Percy is like trying not to concentrate on the fact that like Annabeth is taller and his hands are sweaty and probably gross
Yeah.
and he keeps on stepping on her um and so he then goes back to being like, so what were you saying earlier? And asks if she's having trouble at school or something, and she says that no, it's her dad. And he was like, I thought it was getting better with you two. And she says that
Yeah.
he has decided to move. He got this new job researching for a World War I book in San Francisco. And the way that she says it,
Mm-hmm.
Percy can tell that like San Francisco is terrible.
Yep.
And so he asks like, so does your dad want you to move out with him? And she's basically like, yeah, but half-bloods can't live in San Francisco. And he asks why. And I feel
I
there
put a big
we are
star. Big
back
star. Big
to
star.
book one in so many ways because she goes, it's right there. And I just want to be like, Annabeth.
Yeah.
If
I
he
know.
asks why, he does not know why, like,
Yeah.
and I know that this is book stuff, we're holding things off, this is all of like, I understand the writing reasons for all of this, but I'm just like, it feels like we were back in book one where
Yep.
like, but this time around Percy's like actually asking the questions and then
Yes,
just like
he
not getting
is.
the answers.
Exactly, exactly. And it's like, yes, the answer relates to the central conflict area of this book.
Yes.
And also, like, we could have something, like, we could say something.
Right.
I know that we're, like, on a secret mission, and sometimes saying
Yeah.
names is, like, treacherous, for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also start it because whether it was intended from this book forward or
I
not,
know.
we're also getting our first allusion in a way
Yes.
to Camp Jupiter, and that's very exciting.
I know. That is one of, I don't know if Rick Riordan has publicly answered this question or not, but that is
Right.
one of the things I like so desperately want to know is like,
Yeah.
when did he come up with Camp Jupiter? And like,
Yeah.
was it at this point or was it post? And when he did come up with Camp Jupiter, because he'd already established San Francisco as this like
Right.
place that Greek demigods can't live, was he like, haha, perfect.
Perfect.
Synchronicity,
Said it
Camp
there.
Jupiter will be in San Francisco. I
Like, it
want to
doesn't
know.
matter that much, but you're just curious.
I
Like,
just want to know.
when did
Yes.
you, as a writer,
Yes.
how far
Yes.
ahead do you know stuff like that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. But Percy doesn't want to look like silly in front of Annabeth, so
Yeah.
he goes along as if he knows what she's talking about. And so he's like, okay, so will you like go back to the camp or what? And she said that it's more serious than that, and that she probably should tell Percy something. And
Yeah.
before she can, she freezes and says they're gone. And Percy looks over and sees that Bianca and Nico are no longer sitting at the bleachers. The door
Yep.
next is wide open, and Dr. Thorne is also nowhere to be seen.
This is like the biggest problem with Talia's plan.
Yeah.
So Talia's plan is great in the sense of like, okay, let's maybe mingle so we don't look so obvious and put everyone in danger. But there's not a discussion of like, okay, who's gonna keep an eye on the kids
Right.
though?
Yes. And
Like
how
if we're
are
all
we
so
going...
distracted by talking and dancing, yeah, we need to like not assume that they're gonna just stay there the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, how are we going to regroup should something happen?
They like distracted themselves.
I
It's just a
know.
little silly. Like obviously
It
they're
is.
young,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's like a little silly to be like, okay, we're gonna go be so secretive and sneaky that we completely miss what's happening with what
Yeah.
we're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just returned once again to we had 8 hours in the car,
We did.
Like I'm
We
giving
truly
them
did.
prior to this mission, because we don't know, maybe it was the day before they got the distress call and they were
Right,
like
right.
on it the next day in the car. But again, we
And
had
they
8
don't know
hours
there's
in
a
the car.
dance. They don't, there's certain things they don't know. Maybe they couldn't know. But yeah,
Yeah.
we planning needs to happen. We need
It
planning.
does. It does.
We need planning.
And so Annabeth is immediately like frantic, looking for Talia and Grover, because they need to regroup, and so she runs through the crowd, and Percy's about to follow, but like a whole bunch of girls get in his way, and he's trying to maneuver around them, but by the time he gets around them, Annabeth is gone. He can't see Talia and Grover anywhere, and then sees something that leaves a chill in his blood, which is at 50 feet away on the gym floor, is Bianca's floppy green cap. Trading cards are scattered near, and he catches a glimpse of Dr. Thorne hurrying out a door at the opposite end of the gym, steering the D'Angelo kids by the scruff of their neck like kittens, which I kind
Yeah.
of love because he like said his eyes were like alley cats and then he's like holding them like kittens. Like
Right.
I like
Totally.
the
The continuity.
yes, of
Totally.
describing him as cat-like and, how
And
he
it also just
maneuvers.
makes the kids feel really like they're not tall for their ages, maybe. Like it makes them feel really
Their
small.
average height.
Their average height. And this guy is quite tall.
Yeah. And Percy still can't see Annabeth and still can't see Talia or Grover, and he's about to try to run after her to find them, but then he's like, wait, and he remembers back to when he felt the moment of being inferior to Talia when
Yeah.
she was like, hasn't Chiron shown you how to do that? And he remembers Grover turning to Talia, expecting her to save the day, is Percy's wording. And he's like, I don't resent her. She's cool. It's not her fault her dad is Zeus. But he like does,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like I don't resent her. Depending on the definition of the word resent.
Right.
If it's the literal definition, then in that case, yes, I do.
Right. But if it's my definition that makes me feel better about myself, it makes me feel like not a bad person.
Yeah, then it's like not like she's so cool. Like
Right. Right.
you know. But I don't. She doesn't need to solve every problem. I can solve problems too.
Yeah. What I like, especially coming off of Sea of Monsters, where like Percy felt superior to Tyson and like
Yep.
looked down on him. I like that like we're now getting
Totally.
the inverse with Talia, where like Percy
Yep.
feels inferior to Talia, and that's his like
I agree.
conflict for this interpersonal conflict, like through
The
this
shoot
book.
was on the other foot. Percy Jackson.
Yep, and he can't really handle that because
Yep.
he decides that there's no time that the D'Angelos are in such immediate danger, that they would be long gone by the time he found his friends. And I just would be like,
Yep.
the gym is not that big.
Yep, and like you're seeing what direction they're going in. You can
Yeah.
probably find them as you do
Yes.
find them.
But he says that I can handle this myself, and he takes Riptide out of his pocket and runs after Dr. Thorne.
Yes, he does. And he goes through a dark hallway. And he hears scuffling and a painful grunt, and he uncaps Riptide. And that's where we get the like bronze Greek sword description
Yeah,
finally.
yeah.
Like, what is this ballpoint pen? In case you are just joining us for book 3
Sure.
and you've never read the other books before. Which is about 3 feet long. So we get that. I don't remember if we've gotten that before. So it's 1 foot shorter than his shield.
Yes.
In terms of diameter, at least, for the shield. And it also glows faintly with a golden light, which is super useful. And or could get you caught if,
Sure.
it's either way.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
could go either way. But he
a
goes down the
double-edged sword, if you
corridor.
will.
It is a double-edged sword, if you will. He doesn't see Dr. Thorne, but on the opposite side of the room, he sees the D'Angelo kids. And he doesn't think, like, maybe it's a trap or maybe Dr. Thorne is
Right.
there. Why are they just standing there? There's a little bit of a, like, really not thinking through the situation that's going to happen in this scene.
Where he is like, he is so like headstrong in this.
Yes. It's like the
moment.
bronze bulls in the last book.
Yes, it really
Yeah.
is. And he just is so zeroed in on Percy will save the day, that he doesn't use like all of the abilities and instincts and like training that he has,
Right.
to actually handle this moment in the way that he should.
Very tunnel vision. Percy can get very tunnel vision.
Yes.
And it is a little frustrating, like you said. Like, he has immediately unlearned everything he learned in the last book about there's no I in team and don't just charge into situations and think you have it all under control. But sometimes you have to make the same mistake more than once to really learn. I certainly have. It happens in life.
Yeah, me too.
It's relatable. So he's like, he's going toward the D'Angelo kids, and they're frozen in horror staring at him, and he starts to think they're scared of him.
Yeah.
And so he's like lowering Riptide, and he's like, it's okay, I'm not gonna hurt you. And I'm like, Percy, come on, dude, read the room.
Yeah.
But they're just terrified. And Percy literally has a thought process of like, maybe Dr. Thorne was so intimidated by just the fact that my sword exists that he ran away. Like, Percy thinks that.
Which is like, Percy, my man, you have been around so many monsters. None
so
of
funny.
them have run at the sight of your sword.
Yep. That is a wild thing. I mean, Talia's shield is made to do that. So, like,
yeah.
But they have to look at it.
Yeah.
It's not just like the aura
I know.
of the weapon. So that's a wild thought that he has.
Yeah.
But he's just sort of like riding high on like, I can do anything, magic juice or something. And so he's like, my name is Percy. I've come to see, my name's Luke Skywalker. I've come to rescue you. Yeah. It's giving that energy. And then they jump into a trash compactor. Like, that's the energy it's giving.
Yes. Yes, it really is.
And Bianca's eyes widen and her fists clench. And then Percy's like, oh, they're not scared of me. I'm not actually that intimidating. They're trying to warn me. Though I am 5'11", so that helps. That does give me an edge here. And he whirls around. Also, like, is he not wearing his watch, his wristwatch?
Oh, yeah. No, he is, because it will get destroyed
later, that's true.
in the actual battle.
Okay, so the other question I have is, coming into this situation, like, I've played a video game. I would go in with my shield and my sword if I had that option at the same time. Because if he had it, even though he is now something like 5'11", his 4-foot shield could probably block what's about to happen if it was out when he whirls around.
I actually do think it is a good, like, indication of the fact that Percy isn't thinking all of this through. Because if he
absolutely.
were,
yes,
he would be shield out, sword out.
I'm just adding it to the list of things.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
But yes, it is part of the bravado that is happening right now. Okay, so he turns around and something goes whoosh and pain explodes in his shoulder. And it's like a force, like a huge hand yanks him backward and slams him into the wall. And he's slashing with his sword, but he's just meeting air. And then we get this like cold evil villain laugh that comes across. Yeah. And then he's like, Percy-Verse Jackson, because he's all French and stuff. Right. I know who you are. And that's where you're like, so Talia, maybe we don't just give out our names just willy-nilly to anybody. Yeah. Fair. And basically we learn that that feeling of like a hand dragging him backward was actually a spike. And this description is wild. A black dagger-like projectile about a foot long. That's really
huge.
Big. That's a really big sandwich.
Yeah.
And he's like pinned against the back wall.
Yeah.
And he feels the cut burning. And he's felt something like this before. And he knows that the dart, the big dagger dart, had poison in it. He's... so, like, he can't even move. He's pinned to a wall. He's got poison. Like, he's just immediately taken out in this situation. Back to Star Wars, it's like, don't get cocky, kid, really applies here. So he forces himself to concentrate so that he doesn't pass out. Dr. Thorne steps into the light, and he looks human, but his face is ghoulish. He has perfectly white teeth, and his brown and blue eyes are reflecting in the light of Percy's sword. And he talks about hating middle school dances, because of course. And a second projectile shoots from somewhere behind Dr. Thorne. He didn't appear to move, and it was as if someone invisible were standing behind him, throwing knives. Bianca yelps. The second thorn impales itself in the stone wall, half an inch from her face. This is terrifying. She is 12. She doesn't know she's a demigod yet. She has not been trained. This is terrifying. Yeah. And also, like, we're getting this hint that, like, Dr. Thorne has something going on behind him. We don't know exactly what yet. And this thing is throwing poison 1-foot darts. Yeah. And Dr. Thorne's like, all 3 of you are coming with me, quietly and obediently. If you make a single noise or call for help or try to fight, I will show you just how accurately I can throw.
Dun, dun,
And that is how
dun.
we end chapter 1.
Yes.
Like, thrown into the thick of things.
Yeah. This is our most we hit the ground running
Yes.
so far. Like
Absolutely.
Lightning Thief, we had to like understand the world. Like obviously Mrs. Dodds was
Yep.
very early on, but like there's a little bit of an on-ramp. Same with Sea of
Mm-hmm.
Monsters. Like obviously the dodgeball fight was early, but with
Right.
a bit of like this is the lay of the land of where
Yep.
we are right now. This is just we are in it. Straight out the gate.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. Book 1 is like, you have to do the every day I did
Right.
this until one day this happened kind of thing. Book 2, we have to establish what life is like without Gabe, I think.
Yep.
Is partly why we need to start with Sally. And then here it's like, yep, Sally took us to a big battle. And now
Yep.
uh everybody did an oopsie. Like, I don't even fully blame Percy here. Like,
Yeah.
I think he absolutely even if he's gonna make this choice, he goes in way too cocky, and he should have at
Yeah.
least brought his shield out, or just like been a little
Yeah.
bit more, strategic with how he was gonna
Yes.
do it. But the reason he has this choice to make is because they're not really strategizing, and they didn't really make a plan.
Yeah.
So they lose track of the kids. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that is a problem that all
Yeah.
of them are involved. All 4 of them
Yes.
are involved in this
Yep.
problem. And we have the issue of Talia just saying their names and them
Mm-hmm.
not coming up with a cover story. So we're certainly not getting off to a good start here as a team.
Yeah, yeah, it is really showing. I think it's really interesting to see, like, kind of how quickly the cracks in the foundation form because of the reintroduction of Talia. It's like
Yeah.
Annabeth, Percy, and Grover had a groove established. They had like a working dynamic established. And that's not to say they like the 3 of them couldn't have gotten distracted themselves, but like
No.
they had a really good cohesion, and I'm sure pre-Percy, Talia, Annabeth, and Grover themselves like had a really good cohesion. But this like melding, but without all of the 4 of them actually having time, it seems to really do that. Again, I wish we had that time at
And
camp,
like work together.
to like see that. But this seems like their first time as a foursome trying to work together, and
Yeah.
it does not go well here, and it's about to go a lot worse.
A lot worse. Yeah.
And yeah, I think it is really interesting to see like how quickly that group ability to work together kind of crumbles when like Talia's introduction like really shakes everybody up a lot.
Yeah, and really, like, Grover looks at Talia. Talia's like, we're all gonna dance. And then what happens immediately next? Percy and Annabeth don't dance. So it's also an issue of, like, if you wanted to have sort of a chain of command, so to speak, for, like, battle strategy, no one said, yes, Talia is the leader, right? So it is partly due to this unspoken conflict and dynamic between Talia and Percy of, like, who is in charge? Because Percy doesn't just immediately hop to and do what Talia says. But on the same token, Talia's plan isn't fully fleshed out. And so, we just get a lot of, like, confusion, I feel like, from this new dynamic, like you're speaking to. And that just creates a lot of negative consequences.
It does indeed. Yes. Yeah, but I am incredibly excited to be getting into this book. There's so much in this book. Oh man.
I just can't wait. I'm like, I keep thinking of what's next and what's next and what's next, and I'm like so excited. But also I think it's worth mentioning, like, it's interesting. This is Nico's first glimpse of Percy. And the first thing he sees of Percy, even though he ends up idolizing him, is like Percy messing up. Which I do think is kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is a bit of an interesting foreshadowing to like Nico's perspective on how everything will go down in this book, which is like, Percy, you messed up. You didn't do what you said you were going to do. So
it's kind of it all starts here, I feel like. Yep. But that being said, we are at a cliffhanger.
Yes.
Basically, like, about to experience a fight, which is something that hasn't happened, I think, in other books yet. So it's kind of exciting.
And we are literally in a cliffhanger of a book, but also we are on a cliff.
We are.
Yes, we are. So in every way.
Cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I love it. Well, that just makes me not be able to wait at all for next time when we read The Titan's Curse, Chapter 2. The Vice Principal Gets a Missile Launcher. Bye.
Bye.